I'm going to show you the beginning of my collection of techniques that I've put in these clear envelopes into these big journals, and they're pretty big. And then this was the first journal type thing I did, 2011 to 2017, and I'll show you that. But first I'm going to show you these two journals. Put my camera up. So you can see the very beginning of where it started. And this one's the beginning. This is 2017 to 22 when I discovered YouTube. And I started just, I don't know, it was like daily stuff in a way about the gardens, or I made some cards. I'd been making note cards, and I got dimensional with my note cards. And then I tried some Osier, seeing if I could add that to my journals. But that was 2017. Here's this one where I added foam behind part of it to give it more rounded look. So I just collected pictures and wrote things. That's my grandma, one of my business cards. I really didn't know what I was doing. I'd always done writing journals, so to do a junk journal, I just wasn't even sure what was going on. I can identify with a lot of people when they say, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do next. So I continued just to put little things in here. And I really didn't see anything on the internet in 2017. This was some paper I'd collected, and I did some rust paper for note cards for somebody. I did a wedding card. I did a little scrap journal for a friend that lost her husband. Yeah, just little, I decided I wanted to make a skirt on this 1947 magazine, Sears and Roebuck magazine. So I was playing around with some dimension, but I just still didn't get it. I did some fiber paste and a stencil. So, yeah, I did some watercolors. I did more watercolors. So I kind of got more into here's a little accordion book I made. Let's see if I can get that in the picture. And it's just places on my river. And I added herbs to the back of it. Oops. That is cute. And then I got into making some recycled envelope pockets. Didn't know what to do with them. Made a bunch of tags. These are postcards, little miniature postcards. And then I had pockets all in this thing. This was a treasure pocket. I think I found that girl treasure books. And so I made this pocket using Monopoly. So you can see what that is. And actually I took this picture from a calendar. I had seen it in Guatemala on a really nice little journal that somebody was making and selling, but they were nice leather bound, and all the pages were nice and straight, and signatures were well done. And they had a picture of Frida on the front of it, and I just fell in love with it, but I didn't buy it, so I came home and made one. So then this is in 2020, a festival I was going to, and I started just documenting things that were going on at the festival and using a few techniques, and found this paper. It wasn't anything special either. Drew some pictures in it. A soft-shell crab lunch, Chesapeake Bay. Made a little door. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't quite get it yet. So then from this one, I did this box. And I was just taking cards with me when I traveled to Guatemala. And it started out in Guatemala in 23, and I'd already started really seeing other videos. So all of these cards just have, some of them are just decorative, and then some were actually drawings of the festival and things I collected from the festival. I think this is probably their little cards I found. And inspired by Mexico, I decided to make a little thing like this with the doors on it. Then in Guatemala, I took cards and collected stuff from Guatemala as I traveled and drew pictures. This one I liked a lot. This was gates. A lot of the gates were decorated really pretty. And so I drew a picture of the view and just made it a gate, and then collected things from some of their little magazines and brochures. Made that a little gate. That was nice. So I started really getting into doing some kind of technique. This was a wall with gardens and the bougainvilleas blooming everywhere. But a lot of walls and places you could walk. And this one was the ticket. Saying goodbye. They must not be in order. So you get the idea. I really was starting to, this was at the market in San Pedro. My laundry ticket, like $2 for all the laundry, $3 for 4 pounds of laundry. And this is when I went to visit the weavers. So, yeah, I collected a bunch of things, and this was going to Safari Park, and I collected feathers while I was there. So they were all just little cards. This is another festival, and I put a quote, and somebody gave me a friendship bracelet. Oh, that was a t-shirt I got from another festival I went to in 2016. So yeah, this goes back farther than that. 2016. This was at Woodstock in 2018, I think. Here's one. I went to the Woodstock Museum. They had a real cool hippie bus. Yeah, 2016. So this goes back farther than 2023. So, yeah, it must be 2016 to 2023. A lot of festivals I went to. And there was a festival called Fishing Creek. That's another festival. So it was full. This is the technique I was using then, just putting it on a card. I still didn't get the junk journal idea. And there's hiking to Crabtree Falls, and I collected leaves and stones and added it to the hike. That was a long hike. Dalvett State Park, North Mountain. So you get the idea of that. Let me put the lid back on this. So these are journals. I don't have them in order. I redid them and set them up in, these are all fabric tags and envelopes and challenges. I wrote down all the challenge words that people were doing because I did 3 or 4, at least 4 challenges. So I had an index with all the different parts, and number 12, wonky houses. So let's look and see what 12 is. Someone did I started adding later, but I didn't do it here. The YouTube channel I got the idea from. And so I just took old cards, collaged them together to make these wonky houses, all kinds of different shapes. And this is just a sample of them to put in. They're tags, so you can write on the back, well, most of them. And then I drew and wrote some information about the wonky tags. So let's see what we got here. This is a little bit of fabric sewing. Here's a bundle of beads. I call it book satchel, because these is a bundle of paper like they used to do Little House on the Prairie. So these, this is a monochrome, so everything's in the purples. And I made some fabric down here for a flower garden. These are some Christmas cards. Circle tags. And they were just recycled cards of all kinds. And I made little pockets in them. Made it three-dimensional because this kind of sticks out a little bit. Let's see what else we got in this one. Triangle point cards, so you cut everything in a triangle. Folded paper. This was called a waterfall card. I don't think I have my camera set right. Yep, you can see it. Postcards. Recycled envelopes. So you get the idea. I just added all these these are all envelopes. And this one is the paper dolls that I just recently did. And I got it, listed as number 24. Somehow it's missed be getting put in. Yeah, so these were little paper dolls. I'd been wanting to make some paper dolls, so I played around with them, and then I put some paper in here too to show the samples of paper that would be used if somebody wanted to look through the notebook to see what kind of project they wanted to do, or just for me to go back and do it. I've got the supplies there. And this is the phonology wheel. That was a cool project. So that is one book of 4. This one is booklets, paper, techniques. So here's my labels. Didn't put any. So this is a little bit of everything. Treasure books, tunnel book, trifolds. I have an index. This is a flip envelope. This was a collage challenge. That turned out kind of neat. I put it in a clear envelope and then sewed pockets so I could add little tags inside each pocket. And so, let me get that back in. This one, I drew a picture and then cut the picture apart to make the tags. These were more just little clusters that I put together, some little miniatures and stamping. And this one I did all birds on. And this one I did the music sheets and quotes. So each card has a front and a back. So that was a fun little project. And I put everything in these nice clear envelopes to have them as samples when I want to refer back to getting some kind of idea. I've got the information. And in later ones, I actually did put the YouTube channel where I learned the technique. So this was a tunnel book. And I put winter, summer, spring, and fall. And I did the watercolor of the raven. And then each section I tore out. So this is the winter one. And there is forest trees in here. And this is a tree clear in the background, so it's kind of odd. But I made a tissue bird that has several layers to the wings to give it depth. And then the next one is spring. So I collaged some birds and used oxide sprayed paper and sprayed it with water. And then this is a texture paste with a stencil. And then this is summer. And so the tree is coming on out in this one. And added the green sparkles and all the insects. And then this is fall, and I tore up bits of paper that was spray oxided, kind of a textured paper. I like that one a lot, pretty. So you can see the difference in my work already. Like I've got spreads, and this is eco-dyed paper, coffee stained paper, and you lay the leaves in. And then I love using them as pages now. And then I sprinkled it with copper ink, or copper, yeah, I think it's ink. Yeah. Turned out really cool. This is collaged, all in the background. And the wings were cut out. That one is really pretty. Oh, pages come out here. I'll put that back in. So these were treasure books. And it's a whole collection that goes together. Let me get that one out too. Yep. There's my page. So it's got all the instructions and measurements there because it's one sheet of double-sided paper. So here is just a little journal, and this is another little note keeper here with a tag and beads on it. And then this is a bookmark, like a double bookmark. You can put this in, you can put this on your page as a bookmark, or you can take this out and have two bookmarks. So you've got 3 bookmarks here. And that goes, I think, here. Maybe that goes up a little higher. Up. And then this is also some more bookmarks or tags, whatever you wanted to use them for. Writing on the back of them. It's a little folder to put them in. And then this ribbon goes around all of them. I can't get it all in there now. But they all go in. And it's like a little gift packet I can give to my friends. I should make more of these. Oh, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. You know, and I think this goes on here instead of there. Like that. So then you put it here. You've got more decoration on the front. So that's a nice little gift packet. Treasure books. Altered books, so this shows you all the different ways to turn your pages and staple them or glue them and make pockets in book. And then you can use the book, which I have one of those right here. This is an altered book. So I've taken the pages. This is 2 pages. And I folded it and made a pocket across. And then I started decorating them. Once I made 1 or 2 of them, I was like, oh. So I started stamping on them and decorating the pages. And then I put all my hand drawings in here. This is a book just about ravens. So the pockets added on here. Like I tore this page in half and folded it under to give it a little bit of sturdiness. This book was made with softer paper. I recommend using a little bit heavier paper, but it's probably the age of this book too. It's a pretty old book. So then I just fill it with my drawings, and then I'll use these drawings in other journals that I could give to people. I've got 4 of those. I'm going to do a video on those too. This is a trifold, and I don't have the sample here, but the directions. A zine. Directions on how to make that. A gallery explosion. You take and fold the paper a certain way. They called them a different type of explosion, and it sounded too aggressive, so I made it a gallery explosion. So whatever you put into it. This is like paper folding or origami. That's another folded paper, infinity note. So you get the idea. I've got all these. This is a matchbook. Where is it? I don't have a sample in there. Another little tiny journal. Yeah, these are booklets that all fold open. So I made a different type, so I just added a little teeny booklet on a page. So that is another book. Here is the biggest one. Paper art, collage, and pockets. I do have tags on the pages of this. See if I can get it on my desk. Yeah. So it's got a pretty full index. 32 different ones. It's paper art, collages, and pockets. So this is snippet rolls. This was a big raven I made out of cardboard, layers of cardboard, so it would have depth and texture. That became like a freestanding nest with several ravens. That was an early on one, just watercolor. This one I liked a lot, and some people don't even know what it is, but I love it. It's irises buds that haven't bloomed out yet. And so I put a belly band, wanted to show a belly band there, stamped ants going across it, and then made like a color swatch of iris buds, because this was a watercolor swatch that I did on for my pencil bag, and then I had to redo it. So I thought that was kind of cool. These are watercolors here to give it more realistic. These are all tissue. Just made them out of tissue and added the tricolored or 3 colors of tissue in there. So I really like that one. I'll probably redo that one more. Zintangles. Letter art. So you take a big letter and then fill in the letters. This one is also a belly band. So I made paper flowers and put it on a strip and glued it to an old envelope. but I coffee stained and stamped on it, and then added a little tag here as another flower. But I like the paper flower type idea. You roll the paper, and it's got to be a right textured paper on a pencil, and you roll it loose, and then you squish it together, and it makes it all crinkled, and then you unroll it. And I think I did individual leaves, and some papers you can spray the paper, roll it on lightly, crinkle it, pull it off and let it dry, and then unroll it. This was a challenge of using boxes that you would throw in the trash. So this was Dove soap, and I just cut out doves out of the white area of the box. This was cinnamon, so it's a technique showing you how to make rust-looking paper, and it's cinnamon and Mod Podge. This was doing windows with, what do you call it, that little sequin stuff, and I've gotten junk given to me from everybody, and there was lots of sequins in these bags of stuff that were given to me, so I'm like, I don't want to throw them in the trash, so I'm gonna make stuff like this. And so it's a old card, like it's on their porch, and I cut it out and made it a window, so that kind of looked cute. That was a challenge using cards. That's when I was playing with some pandas. These are master boards where you take a whole big sheet of paper, and I've got sheets that, like commercial paper that I bought really early on, and I don't even like the patterns. I don't know why I bought it, because I didn't know what I was buying and what for. You know, like I didn't know what I was going to be doing in junk journaling. So those papers, I got 2 pads of that kind of paper, and what am I going to do with it? Don't like the colors in it, designs, nothing. So I started doing collages on the back of them as the base paper, and that works. Here's some more cutout. I really like doing my own drawings and making collage scenes with them. This was called billboard framing. So you basically are taking other sheets of paper just to make a frame around the backs. Layers. So this was a mountain scene layer. This is another collage. Now this is in the pockets. These are angled pockets. Lean in, they were called. Tuck pocket. And these are the lean in ones. So this is one page, opens up and cut it at the angle, and then you fold it here, and then you folded this one back this way. One page. Oh, and I have the directions right there. So this was a sliding pocket. That was interesting. So I think I put one in a journal, and then I made one as a sample. So this one is on a belly band behind it, and this one's on the belly band on the top. And then they're little envelopes. And this was some of the fancy paper, purchase paper I got. I don't use commercial paper very much, but this was cardstock, double-sided. No, this wasn't double-sided, but it was just beautiful with all the glitter. I mean, a girl's got to have glitter. Sparkling glitter. So each one I have the directions on about estimate on how you get it done. This one was also a slide one, and it's on a ribbon. So you can flip these up, and it actually slides down the ribbon. and then you see the collage in the background. I leave it right here with the layers. Slide pocket. Tag pocket. So each one of them are pockets on, and then the tag is in each pocket that's on this bigger piece. This reminds me of a card my grandmother gave me years ago, probably in the late 50s. And it was a little teacup. I've got it on my vision board in my sewing section over here. But it had a little tea bag in it. And I always thought that was such a sweet idea. So this one I made just stamped on a piece of paper and put the pocket here. And then this little section here is to write on. So it just folds out. This is journal paper from an 1806 ledger book that was very cool. It has amazing amount of paper in it, and it's vintage looking. So that's what I call tea time, and you can make them in different directions. So these books I can refer back to anytime and get ideas of a different type of pocket, or, you know, that I actually used cards here and maps and, you know, what kind of subjects papers I added to the actual paper. Like this is a piece of rust paper on, I think that's just a painted gray paper that I've added glitter to, and then added a cutout dragonfly. And this is before I got into sewing the pockets. I learned how to sew pockets later, which I was like, I don't know why I didn't think you could sew through paper, but you can just sew right through paper, and it makes very cool pockets, sewing them rather than gluing everything. And that was recycled art pocket. Okay, so we got that one. That's a pretty fat one because of all the pockets have so much depth to them and things like that. And I got a couple. Well, I'll always have more to do. So I even decorate collaged on the front, nothing on the back. And this one I actually have a little art club, and so I collaged all on the front of this. This was a music book, and it was such a beautiful picture on the front. I didn't want to cut that up, and I added some stickers to it. So in this one I have a list of projects. So here is the phonology chart and information, and I believe I have the website written here. Not website, YouTube channel where I got the idea. This one is faux rice paper. So I took one of these little tiny notebooks and filled it with samples of how to make rice paper. And this is like one layer of white tissue, and some tissue actually becomes very clear when you paint the glue on it. And the glue is 1/3 water, 2/3 Elmer's glue. So then the first tissue was a clear tissue, you know, the tissue you wrap presents in. And then I took napkins and I cut out this rooster. But first I collaged on top these papers behind it. And you just have to do a layer of glue, painting the glue on with a really chubby brush. I usually mix that in a little jar like this. This one's got coffee in it. And then dip and paint it. Get it completely covered, lay down one layer of tissue, and then the other one, then paint again on top, and then lay down the rooster, and then paint on top of the rooster. And you do it in a way to get all the bubbles out. Anyway, all kinds of tissue samples, stamping, sprayed tissue paper, and pattern paper from sewing patterns. This one I added silk, raw silk in it. So it's really pretty strong. I'm using them also for journal covers. This one I added gold thread in between the layers of tissue, and it's just the white tissue. So it's pretty clear looking, but it's real good and sturdy. Oops, I just tore that one off. This one I added gold flake, gold leaf, and a stamp. This one I actually added leaves inside. This one is layers of tissue and a napkin. This one I put scraps of written paper. I think I've got another one in here. Or I've got a bigger one I use. So this is a sample of the tissue. And so this shinier side is the bottom because I use, let me get that. You use heavy plastic for underneath of it, and some people use wax paper, but I find good old chocolate chip bags heavier, and so first you have to put your glue down on here, then lay your first layer of tissue, and so that's why your back gets a shinier surface. Now you can, and I have gone back over after it's dried, glued here and laid another tissue on top of that, and then you've got a different texture to the front. But this one had tissue and, oh, I can't really see it. Anyway, it's got gauze I laid out, and then you've got to put some glue on top of that gauze and laid the string down. I think I left the glue kind of thick so the string would stick to it, and then put the panda bear napkin on top of that and then you have to put glue on it and get him bubbles all out of him and everything. And then there was napkins up here too. So that made it interesting. And then I can fold it. I made journals out of this and sewed the signatures right in because the gauze helps give you backing. And I don't know what these were. This is the, more faux rice paper. This again was just tissue. This is where I added to the back because I didn't want the shiny surface on the back. And so I added more layers of tissue on the back. And this is about gel printing. I don't have any gel print samples in there. And this is Mamagami. So this is a brown paper bag that I gel printed on. Well, that's a sample of the gel print. And I made my own rubber stencil of the brick that is popular in our old town. I think it was from the 1860s, maybe, the brick. And then once that dries, you take and you wad it up and you use coconut oil on your hands, and then it gets a real papery, fabric-y feel to it. So that becomes a journal, and usually they're bigger, so I make a journal, larger journal with that. Yeah, here's some more Mamagami scrapping and a sample where I put tissue on the paper and then wadded it. Oh, these are recycled envelopes made into pockets, and I collaged all over it with the vintage look. And then it's got little pockets inside. So this pocket actually shows the tree through the window. It's missing a pocket. Oh, and that was the 3D fun, like I showed you the other one with the raven on it. This one I did a person in it. This was kind of the beginner one. And then once I got the hang of it, I added more depth to it. Yeah. I like putting beginner stuff in so people see that it started out somewhere. It's not all perfect. Yeah, so that is the 4 books that I finished. Oh, and then one more little journal. This one's one of the early ones too, 2018. So this is after I did the box, or in the middle of doing the big box of cards. And this was a camping trip with my brothers, an unexpected trip that we all 3 had to take and bulldoze a road in some property that my mom had. And so I made a little journal and was keeping track of things there. But it was kind of just this funky little journal, and I really liked it. It turned out sweet. So I drew some pictures on the trip going down, the fields I saw, the pecan groves. I had this old handmade paper, so it gives a lot of texture to it. And this is some type of fabric paper. It's very, got a lot of threads in it. Made a tiny journal here. And I put nuts and seeds that I found around the property. And then just drew little pictures, little pockets with tags. And then this one, little pocket there. This one's super tiny too. But I put insects that were at the campsites, walking stick, a yellow jacket, some little brown beetles, some orange monarchs, a mosquito in Florida. Can't imagine that. These yellow flies that are like little rockets that come in and get you. My dog didn't get any ticks, I wrote down there. My older brother had all kinds of fix-it-better ideas on how to do things. So this is early on, not knowing how to do journals, but I just like the texture of things. So I wrote a little note there. Don't know what it says. I searched for snakes and found none. Not even any water moccasins down at the little spring that was in the swampy area we were working in. Oh, it got down to 29 degrees. We did go there before the snakes came out, that's for sure. So, I filled every little page in this teeny-weeny little journal. Made a little pocket for it. Just added a little pin there. So here I drew some birds, made a little funky little pocket, glued some stickers on, drew pictures on the bayous, wren and a pelican. And these were flowers. This is my campsite. I think my both my brothers slept. No, my older brother slept in a tent. My younger brother slept in his car. We rented a bulldozer. Oh, and this was azaleas in a field. And it rained. The mosses were everywhere down through the woods. I think that was a cactus bloom of some kind. Oh, a shrub my mom had planted years and years and years ago, like in the 60s. And wisteria. She planted wisteria, and when they bulldozed the house, which is surprising they did because it was a home and garden house, but somebody must have let it deteriorate. They bulldozed, and the wisteria roots got spread everywhere. So my mom's wisteria is in every freaking pine tree on that property. The pine trees are 100 years old, and they were all up in the pine trees. That was pretty amazing to see. It's like my mom really could grow anything. She really couldn't interact with people, but she could make a dead stick grow. So here's some old pictures of my brothers and I. And I just made a little photo album of when we lived back on the beach there, when I got my mom's pictures, and wrote a little story about it. Yeah, this turned out to be a really sweet journal. So that's how my journals have come from this stage to my current tree journal that has a lot of texture. And I've got a flip through of this one already done. And so it's a 500-year-old tree in my yard, and I've been drawing pictures every year for 3 years now. So this is a brand new journal I started because the other drawing journal I got filled up, and I wanted this journal to be very textured and just a lot of fun about the tree, so I could be able to share the tree with people when they come. They can look at this journal. So that's from the early beginning of journals, not knowing what I was doing, to the more current ones. I love sharing all this kind of stuff. I don't know that I'll ever do a tutorials, but I can do flip throughs fine, I guess. Okay, y'all have a great day.